Hello students, welcome back. In my previous video, I was explaining to you about the different performance-based rewards and incentives, where we had just finished studying about the merit increase, the bonuses, and the piece rate system. So we'll now be moving on to the next type of individual incentives, which is something known as differential piece rate system. Differential piece rate system is very similar to the piece rate system what we had studied about in the previous video. The only difference is that the only modification is that there are two piece rates which are set. One piece rate is for production which is up to the standard level. For another piece rate is for production which is more than the established standard level. See, for example, supposing the company establishes a standard of 10 units per day. Now, supposing they will establish two piece rates for this. If the worker is producing 8 units, up to 10 units, whatever they are producing, they will be paid, let us say, 100 rupees per each unit. The moment they start producing more than 10 units, 11, 12, 13 units or so, for these 11, 12, 13 units onwards, they will be paid, let us say, 200 rupees per piece. So supposing the worker has produced 8 units, then their wages for that day will be 8 into 100 per unit, which will be 800. Supposing the worker has produced 12 units, please remember, up to 10, there is a certain rate per unit. The moment you go beyond 10, there is a different rate. So if the worker has produced 12 units, what happens here is they will be paid, for the first 10 units, they will be paid 100 per unit. So 10 into 100, they will be paid, let us say, 1000. The next 2 units, they will be paid 2 into 200, which will be 400. So now their earnings is 1400. So this is the way in which differential piece rate system will be operating. Moving on to the next type of individual incentive, you have something known as Halsey Plan 50/50. So for establishing the Halsey plan, first we need to establish something known as the standard hourly rates. So what happens here is the employer, the company, will decide how many hours is it going to take to complete a task. So, and they will establish for each hour how much are they required to pay. So let us say for producing one piece of cloth, let us say it takes about 4 hours. For each hour, the rate that the company establishes is, let us say, 100 rupees. So what is the rate that is paid for producing that cloth? Considering that 4 hours, it is going to be 400. 4 into 100, 400. Irrespective of the number of hours it takes for the employee, for the worker to produce that one piece of cloth, they will be paid that standard amount of 400 rupees. Whether they produce that one piece of cloth in 4 hours, whether they produce that one piece of cloth in 5 hours, whether they produce that one piece of cloth in 3 hours, they will be paid an amount of 400. So this concept let us first understand. Moving on to the second point here, where does Halsey plan come into the picture? Considering the standard hourly rates, Halsey plan says that any savings that the worker does in terms of producing the product, any savings in time that the worker does in terms of producing that product, that rate will be shared between the company and the worker. For example, as taking the case of 400 for producing one piece of cloth. The standard time which is established for producing that one piece of cloth is how many? 4 hours. Instead of 4 hours, this worker produces it in 3 hours itself. So thereby what happens here? The worker gets paid 400 rupees what the company has established. However, that 1 hour time he has saved because of quickly producing that cloth, which is nice in quality also. That savings of 1 hour in time is a benefit for the company. In that 1 hour, they can assign the worker to do some other production, which will ultimately get sold and which will earn the company some profits. So it's a benefit for the company. So thereby the company rewards the worker in what way? That 1 hour. What is the rate per hour? Rate per hour is 100 rupees. For 4 hours, if you are doing, it is 100 into 4, 400. So the rate per hour was established as 100 rupees. So 100 rupees is the savings that the worker has got for the company. That 100 rupees will be divided between the company and the worker 50-50. So the worker gets an extra bonus of 50 rupees for completing his task before time. So how much is the worker earning over here? For completing that, what did I tell you? For making that piece of cloth, 400 rupees will be paid, irrespective of whether he is finishing it in 3 hours or whether he is finishing it in 4 hours or 5 hours, whatever it might be. If the worker finishes it in 3 hours itself, he will be paid 400 rupees plus 50 rupees, which is the savings that he has made in terms of time. So 450 will be his wages now. Supposing the worker completes it in 2 hours itself. So what happens here? Because he is completing it in 2 hours itself, the worker gets that 400 rupees, that fixed amount for what he has to get for that piece of cloth. He has saved how much? 100 per hour. 2 hours early, he has finished producing that cloth. So it is 200 rupees that he has saved. So thereby, the amount that the worker will be getting is the 50-50 sharing plan. So the amount that the worker will be getting is that 400 what he has earned from producing that one piece of cloth, and the savings in time. 100 rupees is his share of that savings. So now he will get 400 plus 100, 500 rupees the worker will get. So this is the way in which the Halsey plan works. Moving on to the next type of individual incentives, it is the sales incentives. Now, all of us believe that sales incentives means it is only the sales commission. We think that salespersons means the only work that they do is sales. Now, that is definitely the majority of the work what the salespeople do. So what commission is that are they getting here? The commission will be a percentage of the value of sales that they have done. It will be a certain percentage. In case the percentage is, let us say, 5%, the salesperson has sold, let us say, 5,000 worth of products. So 5% means it will be 250. So this salesman's commission is going to be 250 rupees, or it may be somewhere about 1% also. So 5,000 worth of products if he has sold, his commission is going to be 50 rupees. So this is the way in which the sales commission is decided. Now, commission again changes depending upon the volume of sales. Supposing the salesman is selling less volume of sales, commission will probably be 1%. In case they are selling more volume of sales, the commission will probably be 1.5 or maybe even 2%. So this way the sales commission will vary according to how many products he's able to sell. Some sales people will work only on the basis of commission, but for some salesmen, they will have a basic salary. Apart from that basic salary, they will have this commission on whatever they are selling, on the volume, on the value of the goods that they are selling. Now, salesmen obviously face one problem here. What that problem is during some times of the year, they will be able to sell a lot because demand is a lot at that time. Whereas there will be other points of time during the year where they will be selling only less products. They'll be able to sell only less products because demand is also less during that time. Now, people who are operating majorly on a commission basis, they will be at a loss during the slack seasons, but they will get benefited during the peak seasons. So thereby during the to protect the salesmen from this change in the demand according to the seasons, certain systems, some companies develop a certain system called as draw plus commission system. So draw plus commission system is like where a certain account will be created. From that account, whenever the salesman is having a slack season, whenever the demand is less for that product, obviously their commission will also be less because they are able to sell only less. During such periods of time, the company will allow the salespeople to draw from that account up to a certain limit. During the peak seasons, whenever they are able to make good commissions, they will repay that amount into that account. So for example, now let us say a salesman, ideally, if the sales is expected to be average, let us say his commission should be somewhere about, he should be earning somewhere about 20,000 rupees per month. Now, during a slack season, sales are less. So commission will also be less. Rather than earning 20,000 rupees per month, he's able to earn only, let us say 10,000 rupees for that month. It's going to be a disadvantage for that salesman. Why? Because he will be having so many commitments. He will have to pay rent, he will have to pay his bills, phone bills and all those things. So it's going to be at a disadvantage for them. Now, when this draw plus commission system is given, what the salesman can do is the company will give him the provision of drawing from that account, let us say a sum of 10,000 rupees to make it now 20,000. His commission is only 10,000, but he needs 20,000 to maintain a good standard of living. So that extra 10,000 he takes from the sales draw plus commission account. After some few months, sales picks up because demand picks up in that season. Because the sales picks up, now he's able to make a commission of somewhere about 35,000. So now what he can do is, whatever amount he has drawn, that 10,000 rupees, what he drew from that account, he can repay that 10,000 from the extra commission that he has earned. So thereby now, although 35,000 might be the total commission, he will repay 10,000, and right now for this month he has made about 25,000. On an average, he will be making 20,000. On those months where his commission will be less, he may make only 10,000. So here the company helps him out. Okay. And during the peak seasons, he will have more commission. He may make around 35 to 40,000 also from that commission. Whenever his time is good, that time just repay whatever you have taken from the company. Simple. It is an interest-free loan which the company gives to the salesman. During periods of low commission, the company kind of gives him a loan. After the commission increases during the peak seasons of sale, he has to repay it to that company without any interest. This is how it works. Next, have a look at the third point here. You have duties of the salespersons. So again, when we are determining what incentives actually to give to the salesperson, as I had already told you, commission is one. But sales is not the only activity of salespersons. Salespersons have other activities also, like customer training. They have other activities also, like doing a market analysis. Which geographical area, how much has been sold in the last month? How much has been sold in the last 6 months? In the area of Yashwantpur, in the area of Yelahanka, in the area of Electronic City, in the area of Malleshwaram. This data, the salesman will also have to make. So they are doing a market analysis. How much is expected to be purchased by people in the next month? This is another forecast what the salespeople might have to do. See, they are the ones who are interacting with the customers. So they will be having all the knowledge on how many customers are expected to buy in the future. And this information, they should pass it on to the management. So all these are extra duties which the salesman does. Depending upon these extra duties that the salesman does, the company will also decide how much extra can we pay for the salesman. This will be determined based on how well he has performed those activities. Okay, so as I had already told you, the performance based pay for sales incentive is not only commission. Commission is one. There are other these things, incentives also, which the company has to pay for the salesman having done market analysis, the salesman having effectively trained the customers. Okay, so if you see here, determining the sales incentive. How do you determine the sales incentive? Determine the most crucial activity. Sometimes sales might not be the only crucial activity. Training the customers well might also be another crucial activity here. Okay, so how well has the customer done the training? This can be obtained by way of a customer feedback form. So if you take regular feedback from the customers, you will be able to serve two purposes. You will be able to motivate the salespeople to perform well for the company, and you will be able to motivate the salespersons to sell more products to the customers. And at the same time, you will also be able to ensure that the salespeople are establishing good connection with the customers and being extra friendly with them, with the hope of getting a good feedback from them. So in this way, you can motivate the salespeople. And accordingly, if customer feedback is good, for such salespeople, you can give them more bonuses or um, some kind of an extra pay. Then determining the method of measurement. Yes. So if you're speaking about determining how effectively the salesperson is training the customer, for this, you can use the customer feedback survey. If you have to determine how well the salesperson has done the market analysis, you can see for the next few months, he would have made a certain forecast. What is the actual level of sales which is happening? If the forecast is equivalent to the level of sales, it means the salesperson has done an accurate job and you can give him commission for that. So this is one thing. And as I had customer survey, one way of determining how much incentive to give to the salesperson. So this also I had already explained to you a few minutes back. Have a look at the next type of, so till now in performance based rewards and incentives, we spoke about merit increase, bonus increase, and individual incentives. Under individual incentives, we have piece rate system, differential piece rate system, HALSI plan, and sales incentives. Have a look at the group incentives now. You have profit sharing, gain sharing, and employee stock option plans. What do we understand by profit sharing here? Profit sharing is where you're trying to motivate the workers to cut down costs so that the profits of the company will improve. And you're trying to motivate the workers that if you cut down costs, company will get more profits. If the company gets more profits, you will get a certain share in those profits. So the share of those profits will be proportionate to the wages or the salary of the employee. Supposing the employee is getting, let us say, salary worth, they are coming under the salary band of, let's say, 20 to 30,000. Then their share in the profits will probably be somewhere about, let us say, 3,000. Supposing the employee is coming between a salary band of 70,000 to 1 lakh, their share in the profits will probably be 10,000. So it's according to how much salary that they are drawing. And some companies use this profit sharing mechanism, one, to motivate employees to cut down costs so that they will get a share in the profits. And another one is to reduce the extent of labor turnover. So what companies normally do is, this is a classic example what is followed by Johnson & Johnson. See, what they do is, let us say the company has made profits worth of 10 lakhs. Okay, sorry, let us say the company has made profits worth of some crores. Employee is bound to receive profits worth of 10 lakhs. Now, company will not give the entire 10 lakhs to the employee at one go. They may take the 10 lakhs and they will quit the company and go. What to do in such a situation? So what the company will do is they will distribute that profits over a number of years to ensure that the employee stays with the company till they recover all the profits that they are likely to receive. So if they distribute this, the profit on 2 lakhs per year will be distributed for the next 5 years. If the employee quits the company in 2 years, he has taken 2 lakhs plus 2 lakhs, he has taken just 4 lakhs. Totally, he is supposed to receive 10 lakhs. He's taken only 4 lakhs. The remaining 6 lakhs, if he quits the company, he will have to forego those remaining 6 lakhs. So obviously, employees may not want to do that. So in such an instance, it's better, the employee will think that they might stay with the company for those 5 years till they recover all the profits that they are likely to receive. So in this way, you can ensure that your employees are staying with you in the company. And by the end of the 5 years, another new set of profits can come in. And that they can extend it for another 5-6 years and make sure that the people are staying with them. Then moving on to the next type of group incentive, you have something called as gain sharing. Now, many students get confused between what is profit sharing and what is gain sharing. So gain sharing is also a form of motivation to come to employees to cut down their costs, to ensure that cost savings happen, or to ensure that productivity increases. So what is the important element in gain sharing here is better cooperation between workers and the management. You need to get the cooperation of workers and take their suggestions on how to cut down costs, on setting a standard relating to increase in productivity. So along with the workers' suggestions, in case your company is operating, they have suggested per week, let us produce 20,000 units. So since they have suggested, they will stick to that suggestion and ensure that the productivity is increasing. They have suggested, keep our wages at 50 rupees per day. So accordingly, they will work accepting that 50 rupees of wages per day. Once the company gains good profits because of the cut down in the labor costs, they will get a small share in those profits. So the difference between profit sharing and gain sharing plan is, in profit sharing plan, much of workers' involvement is not there. But in gain sharing plan, because of the workers' suggestions, your profits has increased, due to which you're able to distribute it to the workers and they're happy with the extra share in the gains that they are receiving. So as we had already told you, there will be an employee suggestion system here. Because of the presence of employee suggestion system, there will be one screening committee, a group of people from the management who will be going through the suggestions of the employees and who will be making sure that the suggestions are implemented by the company. There can be several approaches to gain sharing. One of them is something called as Scanlon plan, Rucker plan, Improve Share plan, and Win Sharing plan. So what happens with Scanlon plan is, so the rate, everything, the cost and the sales is translated into a ratio. So according to Scanlon plan, the management will check what is the ratio of the labor cost to sales. Obviously, they'll want the costs to come down and the sales to increase. The moment they feel that, so this they are keeping it as a standard. So they will set that, okay, the standard labor cost to sales ratio should be somewhere about 0.3. So labor should be less and sales should be very high. So they will set something like this. The moment they feel that the labor cost to sales ratio is coming down, immediately they will give some kind of share in that gains to the workers. A certain percentage of gains they will give to the workers. Some kind of a bonus they will give to the workers apart from the wages that they are drawing. So this is again based on employee suggestion system. Then moving on to Rucker plan over here. Scanlon plan is talking only about the labor cost to sales. Rucker plan, what is the ratio of cost of labor, material and services to sales? This will probably be somewhere about 50%, 0.5. The moment at a certain point of time, that ratio becomes less than 0.5. Immediately, the company will give bonuses to workers. It will give some extra cash apart from the wages that they are drawing to workers. Moving on to ImproShare plan. So what we understand by ImproShare plan is it's setting up of standard hours. It's something similar to what we studied previously. It is setting a standard hours. Let us say the standard hours to do a particular task is 6 hours. If the workers are able to do it within 3 hours, accordingly, because of that savings in time, a certain cash will be given to the workers. Among all these 3 plans, workers prefer this ImproShare plan the best. The reason is it's easy to understand. They understand if 6 hours is the target that is set for us to complete the task, if we are able to complete the task in 2 hours or 4 hours, we will get some cash. Whereas this labor cost and sales ratio, the labor material services cost sales ratio and all, they may not see the calculations much. They may not understand those calculations also much. See, Scanlon plan and Rucker plan are also simple only. Supposing labor cost is, let's say, 1,000. The sales is, let us say, 2,000. So here, the cost to sales ratio has come to 0.5. The moment it goes below 0.5, it means that the costs are reducing or the costs are the same, the sales are increasing somewhere, which is showing some indication of the laborers working very well over here. So an increase in the sales directly translates to the laborers doing well, and thereby they will be given a benefit in the profits. Win sharing, again, win sharing, it's a combination of both profit sharing plan as well as the gain sharing plans. So till now we have studied merit, bonus, individual and group incentives. In group incentives, I have explained to you about profit sharing and gain sharing. There is one more type of group incentive known as employee stock option plans. Employee stock option plans means the company gives a privilege to the employees that they are entitled to purchase a certain number of shares, the company's shares, at a fixed price within a certain point of time. See, take an example of a company like Infosys. I will tell you where this gets advantageous. Take a company like Infosys. Infosys share way back in the 1990s, early 1990s, when they had sold the shares to the public, the price of those shares were somewhere about, I don't remember the figures exactly, but on a random basis, I can tell you, the price of those shares were, let us say, somewhere about 10 rupees to 20 rupees or so. Now, the worth of those same shares are somewhere about 10,000 rupees. So you can imagine, sorry, not 10 or 20, I'm sorry. I think it was somewhere about 100 rupees or so at that time. Now the worth of that same share is somewhere about 10,000 rupees. So you can imagine if you were working as an employee of Infosys, if you were allotted one share, you would have paid only about 100 rupees for that. Now the same thing, you will not be allotted one share. It will be much more than one share. Now that same value will be somewhere about close to 10,000 means imagine how much value will increase for you. So this is the way in which companies' employee stock option plans will help the employees working for the company. So with this, I shall stop the lecture for this video also. In our next video, we shall be studying about another topic in your module 4 itself, which is determinants of compensation. Thank you.